even is connected. Do I have a mic working? Yeah, I do.
You do now.
We can hear you periodically, Crystal. You're a long sigh. Okay, I'm putting my mic back on mute.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shane Schultz. I'm the creator and host of the Arisen Strength podcast. I want to welcome you here tonight. This is where we do our recap show of Sunday's show, uh, the Arisen Strength podcast. This is called the live recap show, where we go ahead and we go over some of the more memorable moments of Sunday's show, as well as some things that we might have missed, and some new ideas, and much, much more to come. Um, Folks, Arisen Strength is based off of the fact that it's our belief that there are far too many dreams, talents, and capabilities that are out there that are severely suppressed to where they're either very distant or, at the very worst, they could be totally forgotten about. And whether it be injury, illness, or life experience, these situations have a habit of robbing us of what it is that makes us unique in this world, and that's our passions. So what Arisen Strength is meant to do is to encourage people to pursue their dreams, talents, and capabilities in spite of the challenges that they face. Now, how we do that is a three-pillar concept. First, we support. Then we empower, and lastly, after all the work we do, we have the right to celebrate. So those are the three pillars of the Arisen Strength concept, in hopes to bring back our dreams to people who have been missing them for far too long. So that's what Arisen Strength is about. This is the Arisen Strength recap show. And tonight we're going to talk about last Sunday's show, which happened to be about the power of turning the thought. Wayne, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great tonight, Shane. I'm struggling here with the slow internet as I try and put things up, and then I check my monitors, and they don't show the monitor that it's up. But I think we should have the slide up from last week. Yeah, Sunday we did the turning the thought. It was the second part. We had Christina on the show with us, and wow, what a powerful story she tells.
Absolutely. Christine is a very good friend of mine, and she's got a number of different challenges in her life. One is where her brain is literally filled with fluid, so much so that the weight of it compresses down on her spine. And she also has full body RSD as well. And she definitely gave us a lot to think about. So anyways, so she gave us a lot to think about, and in hopes that we could give other people some some hope that they can do things outside of what it is that they're challenged and faced with in their struggles on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, she talked about set the table. One thing, she wanted to do some things for herself, and she wanted that table. She really felt like she was in too much pain, couldn't get out of bed, and what she would do, and she would just force herself to do this, she would get up and then on her hands and knees crawl across her house. She'd put silverware and table items in plastic bags. She would put the plastic bags in her mouth. She would crawl on her hands and knees to the table and set the table that way. She talked about not being able to eat solid food.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of us, could you imagine being, doctor telling you, you can't eat solid food, your body telling you can't eat solid food, coming to that realization that you can't eat solid food, and what would we do in that position? And some people get a feeding tube. They end up on a feeding tube, and then you would get a bottle of Ensure or whatever it is. And just, they just feed directly into your stomach. She didn't go that route. Or at least she didn't just live her life. She decided that there's some things in life that I want. So she eats Cool Whip.
Yeah.
She drinks pizza sauce. She's managing to she can't eat solid food, but she can get the enjoyment out of life that she likes and that she wants by not focusing on what she can't do. Right.
Yeah, I was really taken back and impressed with the fact that she likes pizza. And so does a whole lot of people in this world that like pizza. Well, if you're not able to choose solid food, pizza is not an option. So instead of saying, well, I'm going to be without, Christina went ahead and came up with her own ideas to where she would have a couple ounces of tomato sauce in her liquid diet to replace the fact that she, that solid pizza that you and I would eat, and she associated those couple of ounces as pizza, and it's okay. It's an acceptable association for her, and I think that that's important.
That's a big part of that turn of thought that we got. We kind of over 2 weeks of talking about it. It's not focusing on what you can't do, because we talk about that being the existing part of, just existing. When you're existing, you're in survival mode, and you're doing just the bare minimum to sort of breathe, and you're not doing any of the living, which we talk about. Right. That's that can-do stuff. That's what can I do, and then go out and actually do that stuff. And if you have to, make a list of what you can do. Write it down. Check it off after you do. Right. Build that self-esteem by saying, you know what, I can do. A little expression that you came up with: kick the cans.
Yeah.
We got to kick the cans. Focus on the can. Move from existing to living, and then your dreams open up. Once you start doing that, once you start turning that thought, your dreams open up.
Yeah, even in the worst case scenario, in which case I'm sure that there are worse case scenarios than what Christina's gone through. I know quite a few, but at the same time, even in the worst case scenario, you can't go wrong by turning the thought to giving yourself a break, throughout the days, where you have some relief and you have some, God forbid if you laugh or smile or whatever the case may be. These are the types of things that make us who we are. It's what is unique in this to us. We're specially made, and so it's important to keep those passions going. It's important to keep the purposes going. Maybe you can't get up and run a marathon. I get that, but that doesn't mean that you can't walk around the house. You know what I mean? Or literally go outside and walk around the house. I mean, do your own little marathon. And again, I think that something that we might have missed on Sunday is association. Associate what it is that you can do to an acceptable occurrence. It's an acceptable result for you. And it's not about limiting yourself. It's about unlimiting yourself. It's about uprooting yourself out of yourself. And and I think that that's so very important when it comes to turn the thought. That's the whole point of it, is to get us out of our challenges, to get us out of our struggles, out of the grips, because they can be very, very difficult to get away from.
Yeah, it's that crisis. When you're in crisis mode and everything has gone wrong, turning the thought allows you to take that crisis, see it as a challenge,
sure,
and then overcome that challenge by recognizing this is an opportunity for me to actually do what I can do. So I can take crisis to challenge to opportunity, and what used to scare me or keep me down now becomes an opportunity for me to live. Instead of existing, I'm now living.
Yeah. So that was Sunday's show, and we're going to continue to talk about that. We had some other things that we wanted to talk about, which is our good friend Charles. He just keeps getting better and better, and every time that Chuck sends a message, it seems to be even better. He's actually been transported to another facility, one that's actually going to high level of therapeutic value for him with his leg, and also he's going to a place that actually specializes in transplants. So that's a good thing. They know what to look for. They know what to expect, and not only that, but they know where they can push and where they have to lay back. And so, that's another thing is sometimes you have to push. Sometimes you have to stretch in order to be able to get out of that box that we were talking about on Sunday.
That's not going to be a problem for Charles, though. We know his story.
No. Yeah, Charles is one big fighter. Let me tell you, and I can't tell you as to how impressed and how happy I am that it's come out this way, because it really didn't look like it was going to. But this is really the best case scenario for him. For what it is that he's been through, for what his condition was beforehand, for his age. No offense, but you know what I mean. But and he got atypical blood. So it's like if this didn't work, he wasn't likely to get right into line for another one.
Yeah, it would have been very easy for Charles just to I'll keep repeating this. I like the sounds of this. He could have just chose to exist.
Yeah.
He could have recognized that, you know what, I'll just lie here until I get a liver, kidney, so dialysis, that's kidneys.
Yeah.
I apologize for that, but he could have just done his dialysis, because that's 3 days a week. It really takes your whole day, and in a sense, you have the time to do it, but then you're sapped out from energy, and the next day you're not feeling that good, and then it's back to do it again. His life could have just been dialysis, and he could have just done that, but Charles did. He did not choose to exist. So even when he was not really hot, not a great chance for getting a new kidney. He still chose, you know what I'm going to do? And he was out doing all kinds of volunteer work. He was out there, doing awareness work. He was out, living his life. He was doing things with his family. The guy was making a life for himself and still doing the dialysis, which was taking up half his life right there. And then he was fighting through the other half to actually have a life. And now he gets all that back. Can you imagine? The world is just going to really benefit from Charles out there full-fledged, not having to dedicate half his life to getting dialysis.
Absolutely, and he was a big part of Arisen Strength. I mean, he was a big part to the show as a cast member. He's also a big part of the movement that we have in place as to where essential needs for those who are just like Charles, who are in line for donorship, whether it be any type of donorship, whether hair, blood, organ donors, or whatever the case may be, as well as the human factor, of which Charles was, again, he's an admin. He's the admin for that page. So it's something that he has turned the thought numerous times in order to be able to get through the day, not only get through the day, but be productive in that day to where he felt like it was a valued day. And that's really, when I personally spoke with Charles numerous times on the phone before he even became a cast member, and I could tell that we could definitely benefit from his just natural way of being. So that's what Arisen Strength is all about.
And I'm glad you got it back around to turn the thought, because that's really what we're talking about coming off the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And one of those times in your life when you need to turn the thought, one of the hardest things is realizing, when do I need to turn my thought? I would argue that we should all be endeavoring to try and turn our thoughts all the time. We need to try and widen our business. But one way you really know that you need it is if you've tried everything and nothing is working. When out of ideas, when you've run out of options, that's when you turn the thought. Because part of turning the thought is thinking outside the box. It's listening to a suggestion that had never heard before. Maybe you heard it, maybe you ignored it. But it's about doing something different. Nothing changes until something changes, right? If we keep doing the same things and keep getting the same results, and we don't like those results, we have to change the way we're doing things. Well, that's hard to do if we can't think. So you have to change the way we think about it. We need to turn the thought and open ourselves up, open our minds, open our hearts, and then be open to the possibilities that we may have once given up on by saying, I've tried everything, there's nothing I can do, I'm stuck, it'll never get any better. If we're using words like that, these defeatist words to ourselves, that's a sign to ourselves, I really need to turn the thought here. And one of the ways that we turn the thought is turning it over.
Sure. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, it's not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends that is the most detriment to us. And why do I bring that up? Well, that's because it brings up water on a grease fire, really. Because, as I said, Charles is being moved to a specialist that knows how to push, to be able to have progress, to be able to move, be able to mold. Same thing with our supporters and our friends, family, and coworkers, is that sometimes they don't know exactly how to handle things, and sometimes when we're at our worst or whatever the case, they'll sit there and they'll tell you it's okay, or they'll just be frustrated and say, you know what, you do what you're going to do, you're going to do it anyways, that type of thing. And what I'm trying to say is that don't, it's either they're the worst, the best case scenario is they enable you to be the way that you are, or the worst case scenario is they don't even acknowledge that you have an issue. They don't even acknowledge that you're in pain, or you don't feel well, or that you've got racing thoughts going on, or whatever the case. So the idea, what I'm trying to say is communicate with the people that you're around. It's okay that they rarely agree with you, and because it's not I'm not saying don't be validated for what it is that you feel, because that's not what Arisen Strength is about. Arisen Strength acknowledges that there is an effect regards to whatever the issue is, injury, illness, or life experience. No doubt about that. But at the same time, don't get to the point as to where you bite your nose off to spite your face because somebody doesn't agree with you. Because guess what? That person is actually the one that's trying to help you the most. They're trying to get you to do something that's outside of what it is that feels familiar. Because we feel familiar with how it is that we feel inside. Inside doesn't feel too well when we're talking about these situations. It doesn't, it's either that we feel ill, or we feel less than, or we feel inadequate, or we feel upset, or in a rage in some cases. I've been speaking to a friend of mine, as to where she just doesn't know what to do, and I keep on telling her that's understandable because you can't get out of your stuff. You need to uproot yourself out of yourself. Now, that's not the easiest thing to do. Turning the thought is not easy, and it's not an event. It's a continual process. I mentioned on Sunday, when my day last week, when I sat there and I had debilitating migraine, I turned the thought from what I normally would do. Normally I would push my way through and go to work and do my normal thing, even though that I was in utter agony and it was debilitating for me. So I made the choice to stay home from work. That was not something that's easy. To be honest with you, I still guilt myself on it to this day. Okay? But at the same time, after I stayed home, I didn't just lay in bed. I didn't just decide, okay, well, I'm just going to take the covers over my head and I'm just going to be here. No, what I did is I did as much that I could to value the day as much as I possibly could. And that was simply, I went to the bank, did some banking for a couple minutes, and then I took the clothes out of the dryer and put the hanger in the shirts, and then I went to bed. I did as much as I could with the strength that I could. And it might not seem like a lot to a person from the outside looking in, but it's a heck of a lot from me doing it for me and valuing what it is that my day is supposed to be like. So that goes to show you that I know this is not an easy concept. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard, because what if it wasn't hard? Then that means that the things that we struggle with wasn't all that difficult, and we all know that that's not the case. So the more difficult it is, the harder it's going to be. The more that you're validating yourself, that you feel bad, or you feel angry, or you feel sick, the harder it's going to be. The harder the work is going to be. It's work, work, work. You need to do the things that it needs to do to get you to uproot yourself out of yourself, to be productive, to make a value for yourself. So, anyways, I had to take a breath. But, you know, again, we're talking about something that is foreign to us. You know what I mean? When it comes to the way that we feel and we validate what it is that's going on, you know, it's very easy to get familiar. It's very easy to get familiar with what it is that you're thinking, and you think that you're doing all that you can. I had a discussion with you, Wayne. I had a discussion when it comes to my higher power. The old saying is that God will never give you anything more than what you can handle. Well, I can tell you this. Me personally, I said when? Years ago. Years ago. I said, stop, hold up, I can't take any more. Okay? The plate is full, the bucket runneth over, whatever you want to say, that's where I was at. To the point as to where I was suicidal. Now, as I got better and as I started to feel better, and now I'm looking at things differently, I'm turning the thought. Here's my thought. Was I really at my end? Was I really at the point as where I couldn't handle anymore? Or was my illness, was my demon having me shortchange myself? Telling myself that I can't handle it when I can handle it. Telling myself that, you know, I can't take anymore when I can take some more. You know, and shortchanging myself. Kind of tripping me up to make me feel worse. To make me feel bad. To make me feel guilty. To make me feel inadequate, so that I end up feeling the way I feel, to where things get dangerous for me because of my suicidality tendencies and so forth with my depression. So that's the type of thing. Turning the thought gets that around, and it turns it around to where now I can say, hey, I can take more. I can handle it. Is it stressful? Yes. Is it hard? Absolutely. But is it impossible? No, it's definitely possible.
You're exactly right. That's one of the places I think a lot of us can probably find a moment in our life where we felt that we've had these negative thoughts about ourselves. I think I'm inadequate. I think I can't do it. I'm inept. And those thoughts of inadequacy lead us to feeling pretty poorly about ourselves. You know, we don't feel like we can contribute. We don't feel like the kind of person that can stand up for ourselves, let alone for somebody else. And then that feeds on itself. When we start feeling that way, then we start acting that way. I'm not the kind of person that would go do that because I'm an inadequate person. So I've taken this thought about feeling inadequate. Yeah. I let it make me feel like I'm helpless. And then I turn that into an action where I'm acting helpless. And that thought leading them into that action, those are completely valid feelings, given that you actually were thinking that you're worthless. And turning the thought says, let's start there. I'm not going to tell somebody who feels worthless that they have to just suck it up and get out of bed, because that's not what it's about.
No.
It's about going back here and giving them, supporting them, really, empowering them to think that, you know what, I'm not worthless. I'm not inadequate. I'm not hopeless. I can do something. And it gets back to that can do, kicking the cans, right, and going with the can list. What can I do? And let me focus on what I can do. Let me write it down. Let me check it off. And when I do that, that builds that self-esteem. Those negative thoughts that led to negative feelings, which led to negative actions, now become positive thoughts leading to positive feelings, resulting in positive actions. And it's a slow process. But hey, slow progress is still progress.
Right.
Right? It's not about perfection. It's not about finishing the race. It's about just following the race. It's about one foot after the other. It's making progress. If you do that, finishing the race takes care of itself. I remember when I was teaching, I would, my students would worry a lot about grades. It's just what they worry about. And I would try to remind them, if you worried about the material and thought about, in terms of studying and learning the material, the grades take care of themselves. Yeah. You never have to worry about your grades if you understand the material. And it's just the same thing here. You never have to worry about being a success if you're doing the things that lead to success. The success takes care of itself. You focus on being positive. And focus on being positive doesn't just mean just sit there and think positive thoughts. Part of those positive thoughts have to translate into action eventually, so that's a can list. That's your can list. What can I do? Check it off, do it, then feel good. Take that moment to celebrate. You've empowered yourself, and now when you take that moment to celebrate, at least the good feelings lead to good actions. Golden cycle.
Well, it's because people are going to think that I'm crazy. I use analogies all the time. Think of it like a video game. It's like you're the navigator, all right? You're the GPS, okay? You're the one that's sitting there, and you're putting in the directions that it takes to get to your goal, okay? So what you're doing is that you're putting in the directions. Is it left? Do we need to go left? Do we need to go right? Do we need to go straight? How long do we need to go? A lot of people sit there and they come to me and they're like, you know what, it's a great idea, turn the thought, but how do I do that? Well, here's some ideas. Language is a big, big thing. Language is huge when it comes to turning the thought. Whenever you find yourself saying always, it's I always do the wrong thing. I always end up screwing up. Okay, stop using the word always. For one thing, don't use the word never. Don't use the word. What's the other one? There's like 5. Anyway. These are generalistic terms that have a way of painting yourself into the corner to where you can't win. You're fighting against yourself.
So it's like everybody or nobody.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody does this. Nobody does this. I always do this. I never do this. When you're using those
very judgmental words, these are words that have a way of defeat. You think you're empowering yourself, but you're not. You're defeating yourself. You're painting yourself with a very broad brush, and you are more valuable than that. You are worth the time to take the time to challenge what it is that those words bring, because those words have a way of making us feel just generally inadequate. It makes us feel as to where it's always going to be like this, and I might as well even try. It's like I'm always in pain, or it's like I'm always going to be crazy. It's like, again, language. Language is a big, big thing. I want you to start saying the words right now. I feel this way right now. Okay? Not that I feel this way tomorrow. Not that I feel this way all the time. I feel this way right now. Okay? So that gives you, that's validating what it is that you're feeling at that given moment. It's giving you that option. It's telling you, I understand this is the way that you feel at this very moment. But guess what? That empowers you to be able to not feel that way 5 minutes after that, or an hour after that, or a day, a week, month, year, whatever. It allows you the possibility for a change. It allows that language to change, to get you out of it. I used to say, I'm having a bad day. When I would say I'm having a bad day, that pretty much predetermined that everything that happened that day is going to go wrong. And the minute that I said that I'm having a bad day, because it's like a friend of mine saying, well, how you doing? Man, I'm having a bad day. Well, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay?
The red day begins
right now. right now.
Any time of the day you're having a bad day, say those words to ourselves. Nobody's perfect. Of course we say those words. Bad things happen. We have bad thoughts. We say bad words. But when we hear ourselves say, "Oh man, I'm having a bad day," tag on. But the rest of the day starts now.
Yep.
Every time you say, "I'm having a bad day," say it. The rest of the day starts now.
Okay? Remember this? If you've been watching the show, you know what this is. I carry this with me everywhere I check my language. It says right here, "I'm fine." It says right here, "Check yourself." Okay? It's because it's challenging. Am I fine? Or am I just saying that just in order to be able to get somebody away from me so that I can be the way that I want to validate myself in being? You know, it's like right now allows you to feel the way that you feel, but it also gives you the freedom to be able to turn things around. Turn the thought, turn things around. If you look at something different, you're giving yourself the possibility of having a different result. Those are the types of things. Look, I know they sound like they're bumper stickers. I get it. But you know what? Those are the types of things that stick with us. Those are the types of things that make a difference. And this is what this show is about, is to make a difference. If you want to know how to turn the thought, this is how you do it. You challenge yourself. You challenge your language. If you're sitting there and you say always, you then put next to it sometimes. Or you put next to it right now. You know what I mean? Again, and when you see it with your two eyes, and you're saying, it's like, okay, it's not always. It's something else. And you're just giving yourself a breath. You're just giving yourself a moment for it to click in as to where all of a sudden that always isn't near as powerful as what it was before. And now you're starting to control things. You're starting to start making your language different. You're the one that's going to start making things different around you. And what happens is, it's the law of attraction. As you start, when everybody says, "I'm having a bad day," or "I'm always sick," or "always," that's just, look, that's negative. It's the bottom line. It's a negative way, and people don't know what to do with that. So they're either going to pacify you and just say, "Okay, we'll leave you alone," or they're going to be worse yet. They're not going to like you very much. And I know that a lot of people say, "I don't really care if anybody likes me or not." That's a lie. Check that, will you? Nobody wants to not be liked, okay? So, again, it's your language. When you start turning things around, when you start turning the thought, you start looking different. You start being in control, and you start attracting the right attention. You start getting positive results. And as you are around positive people, positive things happen. It's just a fact. All the people that are successful out there and that everybody dreams about being like, they don't just get it from nowhere. They actually work at it. I've done research in regards to, like, 50 Cent. Okay, people think that he's just a rapper. That man works like you would not believe. Okay?
See, a lot of times we see success in other people, whether they're hugely successful or they're just successful in the moment. And sometimes, and I've even said this, and I say this a lot, "Oh man, that person got lucky. That person got lucky. That person got lucky." But what happens, and this is true, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Absolutely.
So maybe, you know, and in there's a meaning, right? Because maybe it's not just blind luck.
No.
That luck is the product of hard work. Hard work gives you opportunities for success.
And it's what
taking advantage of an opportunity for success. Some person might call it lucky. Some people call it being in the right place at the right time and being prepared when you're there.
Yeah.
How did that happen? That was hard work.
Yeah. If you want to do something, you can do anything that you want. I don't care what it is. Okay? You could do anything that you want as long as it's within your within your physical limitations. If you want to, you just need to find out the equation that's going to get there. And Wayne had mentioned this, and I want to talk about this, and we talked about it on Sunday. People start working their solutions at the beginning of the problem. Well, you're automatically putting yourself behind the eight ball. You're putting yourself into a very, very hard time because you're going to be going through a whole lot of validation that you feel, as opposed to if you're going to work the solution Work it from your result that you're looking for and work back. How do you want to get there? How do you get there? Not only that, but if you say, listen, I want to do something, I want to get something done, I want to do a goal. Okay, fine. Here's what you need to do. You need to come up with a goal. You need to come up with a why. Why do you want to do it? And then lastly, you need to put a timestamp on it. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Now. Right now. Okay? You put a timestamp on it. Put some urgency to it, some validation to it, some value to it. Because that's the only thing that's going to get you to move. Listen, our mind is not meant to go fast. It goes quick in thinking. I know that this doesn't sound right, but it's true. It gets familiar with things that we do. Therefore, it gets to the point as to where we're not utilizing it, to the point as to where it's not working for us. It's working against us. It's just doing what it is that it's natural to, that it's familiar to. You have to push your mind. You have to push it along. Once you get it going along, believe me, it'll move with you because it has that capability. But again, being familiar is not a good thing. You need to stretch yourself. You need to go past that. When it comes to Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile, the man tried 16 times as a world athlete. He could not do it. It took him 17. The 17th time he was able to beat the 4-minute mile. Do you know how many people beat the 4-minute mile? High schoolers beat the 4-minute mile right now. Okay, the 4-minute mile is like an average now for an actual runner. You know what I mean? So it's like why is that? Because we needed a result. We needed the result to be able to say, oh, it's possible. And when it's possible, then people start figuring out, well, if it's possible, how do I do it? What do I need to do in order to make it to there? And by the way, the word impossible is I'm possible. This is the thing. Again, it's a language thing. It's a attitude. It's an attitude of making things work for you. And when I say work, I didn't stutter. Work, work, work. You work hard. You get yourself out of it. But the value is beyond what it is that you would ever expect. It's not just that you're going to make one goal. It's that your life's going to turn around. If things are going to make things sense, they're going to be more sense. It's going to make you to the point where you value what it is that you're doing. You're not going to be doing the things that don't make sense. You're not going to be doing the things that just feel familiar. You're going to be doing the things that are effective and making it to the point as to where you are progressing in whatever it is that you want to do. And that is what turning the thought is. It's telling people, look, go ahead, tell me I can't do this. Tell me I can't do it. Because then you start saying, watch me. Instead of, no, I can't, you say, watch me. And then you make it, you plan it. You do your goal. You do it step at a time. Boom, boom, boom. You don't just say, oh, I'm going to go from point A to point Z. No, you have to go point A, point B, point C, point D. And people are saying, oh, but that's a lot of work. Yes, it is. It's a lot of work. But you know what? Once you get it rolling, once you start feeling it, remember when I said faking it is making it? It's only faking it is making it is when you start feeling it, because then you're not faking it anymore. You start getting it rolling, that's when things start happening. That's where it really starts to catch on, and that's when you're in control, you make the difference. That's what Arisen Strength is about, is bringing your own value from inside out to where it gets you to where you want to be. I need a break.
But what's that? The first step is to do something. Like you talk about going from A to Z. A to Z is hard. Yep. Especially if you try to skip everything in between, jumping all the way from A to Z, that's impossible. But even go A, B, C, D, E, F, that can be overwhelming, the thought of everything you have to do. But you know what? To get from A to Z, you don't have to do it all at once. To get from A to Z, the first thing you got to do is go A to B. That's all you got to worry about. to get this ball rolling, to get started, is to do something. And then what you do, though, is you write it down, you do it, and then you check it off, because then you get that feeling of, not only do you get the feeling of accomplishment because you actually did it, you have that sort of lingering feeling. I think Shane talked about it earlier, that sort of that echo, that ripple, that vibration that comes from later on after recognizing the accomplishment. Because you wrote it down, because you checked it off, the next day you could look at that and say, you know what I did yesterday? I could even look at it. I did this, and I checked it off, so I felt good yesterday when I did it. I feel good today because I remember that I did it yesterday, and that makes going to sea much more possible than it was even just 2 days ago. Z is still out there. That's my final objective, maybe. That's how I go through the alphabet. But it's not. I'm not trying to jump there. Yeah, I'm going step by step by step. I'm taking time to celebrate as I accomplish my steps. I'm feeling better and better and better and better about myself as I move along. But it starts with the very first thing: do something. And part of that doing something is write it down so you can see what it is you're going to do. Check it off after you do it. Look at it after you did it, and remember that, you know what? I said I was going to do it, and I did it, and I feel good about it.
Now, a lot of people are going to sit there and they're going to say, come on, I have this, or I go through this, or, you know, it's like, I have this condition, you don't understand. Okay, let me tell you something. If I was to have the capability of handing out $1 billion to people, and I said, okay, you have this, here's $1 billion. Guess what? You're going to find a way to make yourself happy. You're going to value something. You're going to get up. You're going to get moving. You're not going to just sit there and lay down, oh, I got $1 billion and I'm just going to not do anything. No. Come on. Seriously, let's get with it. Here's the thing. You need to find the why. The why is the big thing. It's not the how. Forget the how. Say, I don't know how to do this. Forget the how. It's the why. You need to find the why to do something. Out of 100%, the why is 90%. 10% is the how. Because the how is possible. It's capable. It's tangible. No matter what it is that you want to do, it's tangible. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to be successful in everything that you do, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. And again, that's the language. It's possible. If I tell you it's possible, then you're going to go and you're going to try. And as you try, you might not be successful, but you will be successful in something else because you have that attitude now, because you have that way about you now. You're not limited anymore. You're limitless. That's the thing that you want to get. You want to get to the point as to where things get out of your way. Because you're the one, you've got the attitude, you've got the mindset, and you've got the plan, and things just move out of the way. And that's the universe, which Wayne is very big about. If you've got a plan and you're strong about it, Will Smith will tell you, the universe just has a way of getting out of your way so that you can accomplish what it is that you want to do. Don't listen to me. Listen to many people who are successful and who will tell you that that is the case. When it comes to Bruce Lee talked about water. Water. Everybody talks, what are you talking about, water? Well, do you realize that water is unstoppable? I mean, water goes through rocks, goes over rocks, around rocks, over the top, whatever the case may be. It hits a dam and it finds its way through. If there's a tree in its way, it's not in its way. It's just going to find its way around. It gets around. Water. That's why Bruce Lee said, "Don't think about water. Be water," because that makes it to the point where you are progressing. You can't be stopped. The only thing that can stop you is you, and that includes physical capabilities. I'm not saying that you can get up and you can do a whole lot of physical things. That doesn't mean that your brain is not working. I mean, because you can do a whole lot of things. You can write a book. You can do anything. You can make a video game. We have friends who do doodles. You know what I mean? It's like we have friends who write poems and everything like that. You can do many, many things in order to make your life valuable to yourself, to where you're getting your pain and you're getting your ugliness out of you to where it starts feeling as if like you're making a difference in your life. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about perfection. We're not talking about being a baseball player. I'm not talking about being a ballerina. I'm talking about making a difference in everyday life. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. That's what turning the thought can get you. Because it can get you to the point is where you can see it for your own. When you start seeing the results, you start seeing how things work, that's where things end up happening for you. It may not happen for you what it is that you want to, but it's going to happen for you overall. And that is what turning the thought can get you. That's the benefit. So, that's really, that's our show. When it comes to turning the thought. Now again, and I'll repeat this all the time. There's not one subject that we talk about that can be covered in 1 or 2 shows, and that's good because that keeps us around for a long time. But we'll come up with newer ideas, and we want feedback from people. I want people to say, hey, look, you don't understand what it is that I'm going through because this, and this. But be ready for my answer. If you're going to sit there and you're going to challenge me, be ready for my answer. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be silent for you. I'm not going to sit there and say, you know what, I understand because of your condition, I understand why you're just existing. No, that's not why you watch this show. Okay? You watch this show because you want to hear something different. You want to know something different that you already don't know. You already know about pain. You already know about sickness. You already know about stress, about inadequacy. You know about that. Now you want something different. That's why you don't go to a show that's called Arisen Strength and expect to be told, oh, it's okay just to exist. That's not why you're here. And that's not what we're going to do. We're going to try to help you. We're going to try to uproot yourself out of yourself so that you can make a value for yourself. So that's our show for the turning the thought. We had a good time on Monday as to where we had the opportunity to be on the Journey into the Light network with Michael Long. I know that you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, had a great time in the chat room there.
On Blog Talk. We're going to do that show every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And it started out with me talking about my story, and really, my story can last for a whole long time. It gave a general aspect. And did you see Turning the Thought, throughout that show?
Yeah, I did. And but I definitely want to mention to people is stop by the chat room on Monday night. We'll have the link there for the Journey into the Light show, and they have their own chat room there. And I'll be in that chat room there chatting while you're on the air. Of course, you're free to use either chat room, but stop by the chat room though to pick up the link. Yeah. You can get to the show. Yeah,
and it's a really good time. We're not just gonna, we're gonna turn it up, okay? Because Michael Long, is advertising me as a life coach, and and I am. I mean, I do that for a lot of people, but we're going to turn it up a little bit because I want it to be a point as to where we're making a difference for people, and doing the norm is not making a difference. We want to do things outside of the norm. We want to do things above and beyond the norm, and it's like I said, a show that's called Arisen Strength is not about being normal. It's about jumping up, and it's about being different. Now, it might be just a little bit above normal. That's fine. But get it to the point to where you're progressing and you're making a value for yourself, because that is what the whole show was brought up on. It was to help others. It was to help others get outside of their pain, outside of their ugliness, their darkness. It's like somebody asked me, well, do you know what it's like in order to live in the dark? Yes, I do. I know what it's like to live in the dark. I've been there. If you look at my motivational piece, Arisen Strength, you'll see the slides. You'll see the slides that are there that represent the darkness that I used to live in, that I still to this day battle on a day-to-day basis. But I have to turn the thought in order to be able to find the strength to be able to find the happiness within my life to make a difference, value something that's going to make a difference in that day. That's what Turning the Thought did for me. That's what it is that I'm bringing to you. So we're going to be talking about another tough subject this Sunday, and we're going to be talking about domestic abuse. This is a show that is very serious to me. I know a lot about domestic abuse. I've had the situation when it came to me personally, as well as I've had friends and actually people who I care greatly for that have been totally suppressed due to the hardships of domestic abuse. And we're going to try to find a way to be able to encourage and to motivate and empower people to find a way outside of that familiar place that they feel when about domestic abuse. And I know that you're pretty interested in this show.
Yeah, this is gonna be a tough one for us. We've done a lot of tough shows, and we take the tough shows. We try to keep it, even though we do tough subjects, we try to keep it light because sometimes it gets really, really tough during the show. I mean, there's moments where it gets really, and if we approach it too heavy at the beginning, we won't even be able to get to the show ourselves.
Yeah.
So, but it's gonna. I applaud you for picking this topic. I just hope that we're up for it. It's an important one.
Well, and this show wasn't just picked out of a hat. This was a progression. We talked about self-esteem. We talked about turning the thought. These are two things that you need in this situation when it comes to domestic abuse. These are the types of things that you need in your tool belt, in your the bullets in the gun, so to speak, is to where these are the things that are needed in order to be able to uproot yourself out of yourself, to start valuing yourself when it comes to this situation. And we're going to do the best that we can. Again, it's one of those things as to where it's a learn, improve, share. But we're going to give a whole lot of information, and we're going to do a whole lot of turning the thought in order to be able to give somebody some hope that they otherwise wouldn't have, and they might not even realize it. So that's what we're going to be talking about on Sunday. Anything else?
How do people contact us?
How people contact us? We have our email. You can always contact us at arisenstrength@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, which we're starting to really work Twitter now. And we have our own page at Arisen Strength. If you're one that likes to use the tweet and you're not trying to sound like a bird, you can use the hashtag at Arisen Strength in order to be able to get to us. And of course, on Facebook, we have the Arisen Strength family. And now the new thing that we've got going is our interactive studio at Chatsy, which is the Arisen Strength room. It's actually titled the Arisen Strength room now. So people can go ahead, they can watch the show, and they can interact with each other. Yeah.
It's titled the Arisen Strength. It's not titled the Arisen Strength room.
No, it's titled Arisen Strength.
Chatsy.com/Arisen Strength. Come on to the chat room. We have our links to our videos, links to a radio show. Yep. We do that with Michael Long during the night on Monday nights. You can watch the video, watch these shows live as we make them right in the chat room. So it's a great resource, and it's just the beginning because we're all about progress, not perfection. We're about taking steps. We're about doing things and improving ourselves. This is just one of the steps along the way, and we're figuring it out. We're learning a lot, but a lot to offer here.
Yeah. So we're doing a whole lot of things, and we're trying different things in order to be able to improve the show as much as possible in the little things. When it comes to the audio, when it comes to the video, we're trying to do the things that make a difference. And again, that all goes with turning the thought. It all goes with, man, we don't know how to do this. We can't do this. Well, yeah, we can do it. We just need to take the time, and we need to be able to make the try to see where we come out and learn, improve, share. So, folks, that's the live recap show. I want to say thank you for coming and joining us. Join us on Sunday night when we talk about domestic abuse. It's a show that you're not going to want to miss. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be informative. And it's going to be one that's going to be memorable. Thanks again, folks. Have a good night. And see you again.
Good night, everybody.